welcome one and all to the Earthborne Games podcast. I'm your host, Anders Carlson. Joining me is Andrew Fischer.
Hello. I apologize if people get any loud banging noises in the background of my audio today. My basement is getting renovated. I think he might be done. I haven't heard any. He was going hard with the circular saw like 15 minutes ago, but I think we might be over. But
Yeah.
if we get any loud bangs, the house isn't coming down around me. Well, I guess it is a little bit, but on purpose.
Okay.
So, don't worry.
As long as it's on purpose, I think that our recording app does a good job of canceling it out. So the good people probably won't hear it, just as they didn't hear the what was it, the cicada or something in the background of Andrew.
Oh, that didn't come through either.
No,
that
we were
bug?
talking.
Interesting.
Oh, no, I'm thinking of the rainstorm.
Yeah, the rainfall.
We had like this whole conversation about this loud rainstorm in the background. There's even a moment
no one could hear it.
where you're saying, "Listen, hear that?" And it's just pure silence.
The sound of technology.
Yeah, you hear that? That's $24.99 a month right there. You hear. And we're also joined by Evan Simonette.
Hey,
Evan.
I kind of wish that Riverside could cancel my tinnitus as
Ooh.
easily.
Oh. Do you have like
Someday.
constant tinnitus?
Yeah, it comes and goes, and I've had it pretty strong like this last week. So I don't know what the deal is, but
Did you go to some rock concerts?
yeah, and that's not really it. I don't know what the deal is.
Well, I have it too. I know your pain, and I always called it tinnitus as well, but I recently
Am I saying it wrong?
that it's actually pronounced tinnitus, which doesn't make sense
Tinnitus.
to me.
Okay.
Because everything is itis when it comes to medical conditions, right?
Yeah.
Everything's itis.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So why is it tinnitus? I think they might be wrong.
We've decided here.
There's this. I listen to like sound machines on YouTube every night, and it's like YouTube knows when it's bedtime because it'll suddenly only suggest white noise machines for me to listen to.
Oh, interesting.
And it's
the
crazy.
algorithm knows.
Yeah, they know what time it is, and the world of those videos is crazy. They have every color you can think of. Like aquamarine noise. I personally like brown noise, but there are ones that say like serious tinnitus busting brown noise, and I wonder if it works.
And then there's the ones that play soothing white noise for 4 hours and then jump scare you in the middle of the night.
Yes, because there will be this.
Wait, they really exist?
Well, it's not. Well, okay. I get what you're saying. That was a total joke. But there are ones where it's the same exact icon, the same thumbnail on the video, but it'll be like a 4-hour one versus a 12-hour one. So I'll accidentally choose. One night I accidentally chose the 1-hour one, and every hour I would be like, "Why am I waking up? Oh, why is this off again?" And I'd just keep restarting it and never making the connection. So
at least it just dropped off and didn't just autoplay like next video, and like suddenly you hear like Mr. Beast yelling at you or something.
That would have been awful. But I think somewhere along my life, I learned that the sudden absence of noise is actually more effective at waking somebody up than like a banging noise. So if you need to wake up your child or something in a gentle way, like slowly introduce the white noise and then suddenly turn it off, they'll wake right up. Hell yeah. It's a real head scratcher, huh? And then we're also joined by Andrew Navarro. Welcome
Hi,
to
Anders.
the show.
Thank you. I was looking up the pronunciation of tinnitus while you guys were talking, and you're right. That's just wrong. That just feels
Tinnitus.
wrong, though.
That's so wrong.
Yeah. It's got
Tinnitus.
two N's in it, which I think makes it the tin.
Tina.
Oh, yeah, I suppose.
Instead of it being one N, which would probably make it a hard I.
But there are no rules in English.
That's not true.
And how
not
things,
not many people follow those rules, but they certainly exist.
well, when it comes to how things are spelled, you look at Spanish and you know how to say it just by how it's spelled, right?
That's true.
I don't think English has that.
That does not.
Two N's. I think Gallagher has a great joke
It
about
does,
that.
but it has a lot of it has a lot of rules.
It does.
Yeah. There's just lots of rules that are often applied in different ways throughout the language. Yeah.
Much
But
like
English
Earthborne
is
Rangers.
the great absorber. It can't function the way it should unless it allows for that.
That's the beauty of it. Well said.
Yeah.
It's kind of like X-Wing First Edition. They just keep tacking rules on to fix previous rules until you just got like this. No, I don't know if that's actually the case, but
I don't get it.
That's exactly how it went.
I can't relate.
That's just how it
Well-
felt towards the end.
Well, thanks for joining us, fellas. We have I've been playing a lot of Earthborne Rangers. I've been playing.
That's exciting.
I played maybe let's say 10 hours total,
Nice.
and I feel like I have a good grip on how to play, and I have some thoughts, and I'll share those during my indie game corner later, I think.
Oh yeah, you're not going to do
So
it
stay
during
tuned.
your work stories.
Maybe I should do it now while it's fresh in my head, come to think of it, because my brain is like, it's one of those slow days, I've multiple times today I've frozen trying to think of a simple word. So let's see if
let's dive into work stories and start with Anders's
Okay.
Earthborne Rangers work story.
Oh my god, I didn't prepare for this at all, so I'm just gonna wing this. I played it with my sister and her boyfriend. I got to give them the whole, lesson. We watched together the how to play videos on their TV first, so we spent like half an hour doing that. And I think that helped a lot. They came in like pretty comfortable, I think, just from those videos. And during the videos, I was pausing it a lot and saying like, this means this and this. So anyway, yeah, setting it up and did the whole prologue just like I did with you guys during that. See, what's the word? Playcast. Went through that whole story again with the biscuit delivery and whatnot, and super fun. I think my sister was really into it, more so than her boyfriend. He had a little bit of trouble grasping the rules, and I think he still is. I can safely say this because he'll never listen to this. I don't know if he even knows this exists. Well, I guess he does, but I've told many people about this podcast, and I don't think a single one has ever watched it.
Not gamers.
I don't have a lot of gamer friends. But anyway, I was, after we played that first session, I was so eager to play again that the next day I was like, hey, you guys want to play again? So 2 days in a row we played after work. And in between those days, I read the little story section at the beginning of the rule book. Is that where it is?
Yeah.
The little like letter from what's the name of that guy? What's the name of that?
Ren Kobo.
No, the one before that. Isn't there like a letter, like the historian guy? Person?
Yeah. Yes.
I loved that. I never read that. I don't, that I was like, what the hell? How have I done this podcast with these guys this long and I've never read this? So many things within this that I never knew, that I have questions about. And I think that was the biggest thing, was thinking, oh my God, the lore of this game is so actually amazing and cool. Even more so than I already like knew. So that was pretty fun to discover that, like, how deep the world is. And it made me think, God, it's like ripe for like new worlds. Like let's do something about the guide. The guide really got me. Just that little
Nice.
like nugget sprinkled in there. Like, who's the guide? Let's find the guide. Let's find out more about him.
Yeah.
So that was fun. But
That's
then,
awesome.
Yeah, and playing the game, it was just fun. It fills me with this feeling of, where is this going to go? Because all I really know about is stuff we've played in the playcast. Is there going to be like a bigger storyline that comes through? Like, are the stakes going to get higher? Is it going to be a lot of just meandering around? And that's fun on its own. But like, yeah, I'm just really curious to see where the story goes. And how does deck building come in? Because I don't think I've really gotten to the point where I feel at all like I know what cards I should be looking for, or like how to do synergies. Like 3 play sessions in, I'm still not, I have no thoughts on it already. I'm just like getting into the story. Let's see how to play, like learn how to play, picking up the storylines. We've got a few missions in play. I want to see how those resolve. I loved how the characters really come through right away when you meet them. It builds that intrigue. Anyway, great job, guys.
Thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
For
I
sure.
look forward to hearing more.
Yes. I look forward to playing more. So that's my work that I've done. Let's move over to Fischer. What kind of work have you been doing?
Yeah, I've
the
been
game.
doing a lot of changing and tweaking and engaging with the community on rules questions and stuff. So on the core set, by the time this airs, there'll be a new set of FAQ and errata out. Kind of updated now that we've launched North America. More, even more people are playing it. We found a few more things that we want to get out to people. So that should be out by the time this airs. So we kind of worked on that, compiled that, got that integrated into the Living Valley, our online campaign guide. And so collecting that, because in addition to like collecting the errata as like part of that, there's this like wider task of just collecting anything we want to clean up in our files for like a second printing. And a lot of those things, typos and like printing errors and other stuff like that, we definitely want to pay attention to for the second printing, but we don't want in the errata. But it's a big old pile of stuff, right? And so you need to dig through like all of the community engagement we've done, and like we kind of track stuff as we go, but there's a certain amount of kind of going back and just reading through like questions and questions and questions and figuring out which ones have been asked the most, and then how do you find similar questions and combine them into like a singular answer that covers everybody's basis. Which things do you combine, which things don't you? So there's this whole collection and collation task of like getting all of that. So I've been doing some of that on the core set for the FAQ and errata. And then I've also been doing a similar thing on a much smaller scale with our campaign expansion, as the playtesters have been playing through it, and we got an update out to them to fix a couple missions. And so it's been a lot of just updating the game here, updating the game there, jumping back and forth. And then the other thing we've been up to is I've been meeting with Sam, and we're Sam Gregor Stewart. And I think we're honing in on finishing the last of the word count writing that we need to get done for the campaign expansion. And so we're honing in on that. There's still a lot of like revisions and stuff that we want to do after that, but I think it'll be fully written here by the next time we record. So
that's exciting.
Yeah. And then the last thing that we've been doing is, I guess Andrew will cover this, but we're preparing for PAX Unplugged, as many of you know. So
yeah,
that's it for my work stories.
Cool. I just want to add that you were a very helpful resource when I was playing the game.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Texted you a few times for some clarifications, and that was fun too. That was awesome to like connect with you about it as I played.
Yeah, and feel free to.
Yeah,
that's kind of a classic where people I know will play some game I worked on, and you just get like a random text message from this person you haven't seen in a while, and it'll just be like a rules question about your game.
No hello.
You're like, oh hey.
I gotta say, it did feel pretty cool when we encountered a question in the game, and I could just be like, let me just text the designer. Oh, he's got an answer for us right here.
I mean, most people can do that by just going to our Discord and
right.
jumping into the rules discussion. So there's a bunch of helpful people there who will help you out if you have any questions. I'm sure most of our listeners already know this.
Right.
You can jump in there, and there's a few helpful people, likely Chub Frog, will help you out. And then if they don't have answers, I check that channel basically once a day and answer anything that the community isn't able to answer. So in some ways, everybody can text me their rules questions.
Yeah. I was thinking about the golden rule a lot, which is something that I only learned from talking to you guys on here. I never knew about this before. And as I was playing and asking you questions, I was thinking about that golden rule. And now I'm wondering, is there anything within the game that you might come up to that truly doesn't have a clear like what we're supposed to do. Like, is there not a clear rule on some things that you might happen upon in the game? Yeah.
Oh yeah, it does happen, and that's some of those places that we've found are places that we clarify with like a FAQ or errata. That's kind of what some of those are, like mistakes, errors in a card, and then there are a few like usually FAQ stuff where there might just be something that's unclear how it resolves based on our current description of timings and stuff. So yeah, we kind of try to cover it with these updates that we put out, and then kind of clean things up and refine the wording to hopefully shore up some of those ambiguities.
Yeah, we also on our online resources we posted a rule which I think wouldn't be a terrible thing to add to a future printing, like in the rule book itself. This concept of the delightful rule, which is the counterpoint to the grim rule in games like this, where the grim rule has always been if you can't figure out the best way to proceed because this type of thing happens in every cooperative game I've ever played. You'll come up against something where you're like, how do we do this? And it's not really clear. And you might need to, you could do like a bunch of research online and find the answer, or you could just as a group say, all right, what's the worst outcome for us of this rule? All right, that's what we have to do because you're following the grim rule. In Earthborne Rangers, we decided to have the delightful rule, which is if you can't figure out how something's supposed to resolve, just choose what is best for you, what you'd like the most, and then just resolve it that way and move on. And some people that's okay for because they're like, oh, cool, awesome, I'll just do that. Other people are like, no, I need to know the rule. Tell me everything. I must know everything. I can't be cheating.
I think my mind works that way for sure. Like, what am I supposed to do? Okay, I love that though. The delightful rule. As you were talking, I remembered that I did cheat during the game for a purpose. Though we were trying to convince the pilots of the
Swift
the Swift
Benamon
to let us. Yeah, we were trying to convince them that we really needed to bring these biscuits to White Sky.
Yeah,
it's very, very important. And I did the challenge card, and it would have sent us. It was like the end of the night. I wanted to go home. Like it was too long. It was like way past my bedtime, and I wanted that to be like the end of the day. And didn't get it. And then we kept playing. Like, okay, let's draw some new path cards, and we were like ready to be done. So I said, let's just pretend we got on that Swift. So we did, and it felt fine. It's okay, I think, in those moments.
Oh yeah, a little bit of fudging is a time-honored co-op tradition. It's like, okay, there's a classic. Okay, we know we lost there, but let's pretend we didn't lose. What would happen? What would have happened?
Yeah, you're kind of like writing a little story with your friends, and yeah, you want to be a part of the authorship in a way there. Cool. All right, thank you, Fischer. Move on to Evan.
Well, as usual, I'm working on...
Are you there?
Oh, I think I might still be kind of lagging.
He looks a little lagged out.
He is lagged.
Yeah.
I think so.
Great.
Just go for it. Tell us what you're up to. We won't interrupt you. Go on.
Okay. Well, I'll keep it short. As usual, I'm working on the last remaining list of art, and I'm cornering in on some of the Legacy of the Ancestor being art that I was kind of putting off because it seemed really complicated, and I just wanted to bang out the ones that I knew I could get done quick. But I feel pretty good about the difficult ones that I've been working on, so that feels good, and I can't really describe what I'm working on without spoilers, so just know that through combined effort of Andrew, Joe, and I were making some cool looking stuff, and other than that, I'm in a mental space for PAX. I've never really been to a con before, even though I worked at FFG for years. Like I was always able to get out of going to Gen Con for one reason or another. So this will be my first big one, and I'm a little nervous about teaching the game, so I'll be practicing the script that Fischer has kindly prepared for us over the Thanksgiving extended weekend. So I think once Sunday or Monday rolls around, I'll feel a lot better about it. I already do feel really good about it, having been playing my own copy of Rangers now. There's a lot of things that I was not very confident about that I feel really good about now, just going through the repetition of solo players. So yeah, I'm excited for PAX. The only thing I'm not looking forward to is the flight, because I hate flying. So once that's behind us, it'll be great. So
Oh,
And I know we've talked about this a bit already, but you don't have to be nervous about the demo. Like, I understand that me saying that probably isn't going to relieve that, but like, you're gonna do great. And like, as long as you hang out and are personable and talk about the game with people, like, you know,
I can do that now. Yeah.
And like, yeah, I think you're gonna do fine. So
Cool.
Yeah.
it's not nearly as much of like a production or a big deal as it like initially felt. Like when I first started demoing, I was so nervous about it, like, you know, and like, oh, I've got to be on and presenting and stuff. But like, really, you're just hanging out with other nerds who are interested in having a fun time. So like, it's good.
mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna do great.
Yeah.
And we'll all be there. You know, we have 2 demo tables and 4 people manning the booth. So,
Yeah.
you know, if you are just like, you know, I'm good for now, you can always tap out.
Well, it's going to feel like one of those things where in school I would be really nervous about giving a presentation. Then once I do it, it's fine and it's enjoyable. So
Yeah, you do this you've been doing this now. This is talking.
that's true. Yeah.
This is presenting. You present every time on here. It's really good.
Yeah, and there's way more people on the other side of these microphones than there will be at your demo table. So.
That's right. That's right.
Exactly.
Not to make you nervous in this moment.
I looked at flights to Philadelphia for myself.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. It would be fun. It's kind of pricey right now. But if I can pick something up, I'd go. Maybe I'll be there.
Well, that'd be awesome.
Darren,
Crash at our Airbnb.
Yes, I remembered that. So that cost is off the table. So
there you go.
And then Darren offered his pass to me.
We also have extra badges.
Awesome.
So
There you go.
we have you'd be set.
So I just need $600.
Ooh, it went up.
Yeah. But who knows? Maybe I'll find something. Anyway, all right. Thanks, Evan. I think we got you in there without too much lag. Maybe just leave and come back one more time right now.
I think
he kind of caught up. He caught up.
he
you're
does.
back?
Like,
Yeah.
it's
Stay
interesting.
here.
I noticed this the last time that we recorded, because it was the same kind of situation. It's like where when Evan, when you start speaking, your audio and video are out of sync, but then as you speak, they become in sync.
Weird.
And then by the end, you're fine. So
Okay.
like right now, you're totally fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Crystal clear.
Awesome.
Maybe that's the AI working.
Maybe.
Something. Just like morphing you into one,
no.
one human. All right, cool. And then we've got Andrew Navarro live from Costa Rica.
Yeah.
What do you
Well,
got
does
going?
anyone know that we are all AI facsimiles of ourselves because we're busy
We fully
working right now.
replaced. Yeah,
Yep.
we farmed out the whole podcast to AI.
That's right. There's enough data. There's enough video and audio of us that it's it knows. It knows.
There might be.
Oh God, yeah. Don't give anyone any ideas. I've already had
Ooh.
that like
Next
nightmare
show.
thought.
Next show is gonna be hosted by an Anders bot. I'm gonna start training an AI. This bot watched
man.
41. I think this is episode 41.
Wow, that's a lot. You know,
That is a lot.
I'll be proud to be at the front of the anti-AI movement.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty much antithetical to everything that I stand for.
I would say so.
Anyway. Work for me. We're almost done with fulfillment. I think I mentioned last episode that I don't know how much longer I can say anything about fulfillment. I think this might be the last or maybe second to last time I talk about it. So North American fulfillment is like almost completely done. We have like a handful of orders to go out, mostly people who have had issues getting shipping charges charged to their cards or forgot to put in their addresses or whatever. So we have a handful of stuff. I got the final count of everything that's like left over that still is supposed to go to backers. And it's really fascinating to see how many people didn't like follow up on BackerKit, which I guess is a pretty normal thing for Kickstarters. And it seems like a lot, but when you look at it, it's like less than 2% of backers who put in, who actually contributed money. Have aren't getting their rewards right now because they haven't completed the process or aren't interested or forgot about it or all sorts of potential possibilities. So we'll have like a stock of some stuff that will hopefully be going out to people, but that we'll have some things left over in the end. That we'll be able to then make available. So I know some people have been asking about additional playmats or tokens, things like that. And we're very limited on that. Pretty much have nothing as far as playmats go for the time being. But there'll be sometime when we'll just make those available again. Some point in the future when we just decide, no, it's too late. No one's coming for these. Someone else can have them.
Just use a Marvel Champions mat like I saw somebody was doing on Instagram.
Yeah, sure.
Seems so odd to do that. But.
Any playmat will do. And Australia and New Zealand fulfillment has started, apparently. Some people have started getting notifications from EtherWorks that stuff's going out. So that's exciting. They heard about it before I did. So that is what I'm basing that off of. So hopefully they're telling the truth.
And that's like our last area of fulfillment, right? It's just
that's
them.
It. Yeah,
sweet.
That's it. Yeah.
Amazing.
The game's coming out in retail in the UK right now, which is exciting. And we have the order on the way to Covenant right now. Their big old order. And then they'll be stocking the game, what's left going forward. So that's on the way. So all those people who pre-ordered should be getting their copies relatively soon. I'm not sure when Covenant's going to start shipping, but obviously they'll make a big deal of it when that starts to happen. But I'm hoping that's very, very soon. And like Fischer mentioned, the other thing I've really been doing is help getting prepared for PAX Unplugged and trying to get all our ducks in a row for that. And that is going well. We had a moment at the beginning of this week where I was worried that we wouldn't be able to easily get our product to the show. But it seems like it all worked out extremely well. So that's great.
Good.
Yeah, kind of the theme of this project. There's a moment where it's like, oh no, and then it's like, oh no, actually that's great.
Cool.
So Flying Cloud apparently has another client who they're shipping stuff to PAX for. So we're going to be combined with that shipment, and that'll be great because it'll save us some money, and that's awesome, and save them money, whoever they are.
I was gonna say if we absolutely ran into problems, I'm like, it's not too late to just rent a van and drive to Flying Cloud.
Yeah, that was going to be the backup plan, is that we just rent a car because it's literally 2 hours away. I Google mapped it, It is 2 hours on the nose from the convention center to Flying Cloud.
Oh wow, that's actually not even that. That's not nearly as bad as I figured it was going to be.
No, it would. I think the biggest hassle would be just getting a car, renting a car, finding one that was available. That entire process. I don't know how much time you've spent renting cars, but we'd probably need to wait in line for a rental car just as long as it would take to drive out there.
Drive to Flying Cloud, yeah.
So anyway, it'd be a whole thing. So hopefully we don't have to do that. But if push comes to shove, that's what we'll do. But yeah, so we'll have some product there. That's really exciting. And yeah, we got our booth graphics delivered to us. I got us signed up for Square retail services, so we'll be able to take people's credit cards at the booth. Yeah, so getting all that stuff. I got us insurance so that we needed to be at the show. So
wow,
so that was fun. I did that yesterday. Yeah, so we're all ready to go, which is pretty exciting. Yeah, I'm pretty excited and nervous and anxious. It's like our first. This is our first convention, and in the back of my mind, I've been thinking this whole time, like PAX Unplugged's a pretty small show, but it's not. It's actually a really big show, and I don't know when it got big, but it's big. It's like the hall. When I looked at the map, like the customer, like the attendee facing map, it really sunk into me just how big it really is.
Wow.
Yeah, it has like over 30,000 attendees, so that's a lot. So yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, that is exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like, given that we have 4 people at the booth, like, we might have a little bit of time to see some other booths too. Like,
yeah.
I haven't been to a con since pre-pandemic, so I'm excited to be there.
Yeah, you're primed.
Everybody go if you can. Exciting times. All right. It's exciting that almost everybody's got the game now who ordered it. I was excited to get mine, and I had a lot of fun setting it up. I didn't think I would, but it was really fun putting those little dividers together, and I liked the little design of how to put them together, and then organizing the cards. It was great.
Nice.
I didn't sleeve them. I want to feel them.
Yeah, I think Kickstarter's fulfilling is more of like a moment than other games. Like I've had lots of friends play a lot of games I've worked on, but like with Rangers more so than any other game, I've had friends reach out to me receiving their copies. Like I'll get photos of like, look what just came in the mail, right? Like, as opposed to like, they'll just go to a game store and buy my game or order my game on Amazon or something, and they don't make a. But because it like shows up and it's this event they've been waiting for, like everybody reaches out, which is it was fun. It's cool.
Yeah, and I feel like just like you, like I've been a part of making lots of games, and yeah, no one has ever. I've had the same experience where people have like are like sending me stuff, sending me messages and images, and it's super cool. And no one ever did that for any FFG games.
Nice.
Like maybe just because it feels so like institutional, maybe. And this feels like we actually made the games by hand, like in an oven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you had a baby or something.
Artisanal, bespoke, handmade.
Totally. Makes total sense. All right. I think Evan his tech problems are he disappeared.
Sorry.
He disappeared on me. So
Goodbye,
he
Evan.
Yes. Like he's been absorbed by the darkness.
I think he's probably there. Just leave and come back, Evan. We can't see you.
He's getting into the theme of Legacy of the Ancestors. And
Ooh,
he's underground.
That's right. His area is not illuminated. So
if I leave, I don't have to.
I mean, he's fully dropped out of the show notes on Google Docs too. So I think his internet problems may extend beyond just Riverside at the moment.
Yeah, maybe he's restarting his router or something.
Yeah, restart everything, Evan. We'll go on without you, and just come back when you're ready. If you can hear this, if you can hear me, okay, he did it. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to listener questions here, and our first comes from Darren, the Dependable. And Darren admitted in Discord that he's running out of questions, but we appreciate
Listen, Darren. If you want to skip an episode or two, we won't take away your title.
Nope.
So
Nope.
Yeah, well,
You're safe.
I suggested maybe start asking him questions,
Ooh,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
and then we could just read his answers.
Okay, ask him the first one right now.
No,
Yeah, do you have a question for Darren?
No, I think we'd have to
I got
put it
one.
in the Discord. So we have a
Okay.
question, we put it to him in the Discord, and then we ask the question and read his answer.
All right, new segment.
Mhm. But don't you
Earthborne
think,
team interviews Darren, the dependable.
but don't you think it would be more appropriate if, since he asked us a question on Discord, we answered on the show. We ask a question on the show, he answers it in the Discord. And then we read
Okay,
it
well,
next time.
I'll see if I can conjure a question before the end of the show that we can ask Darren.
Okay.
Are you? Yeah. What color hair do you have?
A good question. A good question.
Okay. I'll be thinking too. All right. His question though this week is: a while back, I stumbled across an emoji that looks strangely like the Ranger badge.
We've found this as well. And we looked up the name before the show, and I believe it's just called Diamond with Dot. Is the
Diamond
name
with-
of the emoji.
And
And it
if
kind of
you-
looks like 4 flower petals, so it really does resemble the Ranger badge.
Yeah.
It does, and if you look up the Emojipedia entry for Diamond with a Dot, it's insane how many iterations an emoji has for different platforms. There's
Mhm.
probably for different years on those platforms for this emoji that I've never seen before. And what's the purpose of this emoji? It's just this blue diamond with the dot in the middle.
With a dot.
What's it supposed
That's
to
what
be?
it says on the tin.
What is it supposed to be?
It was just waiting there for us all these years.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, he's right. It does look like a Ranger icon. The Ranger icon you see in the manual and stuff, or on cards.
Yeah, on the
Is that
back of the
right?
cards.
Mm-hmm.
And then his question is: can you come up with any good emoji combos to represent people, places, or things in the EBR universe? That's a good question. I've got this one for the Marsh of Rebirth, and it's the emoji combo that he formed was 2 worms, then a dizzy face, and then 2 more worms. Can someone explain? Someone explain that to me? I don't know.
Well, you gotta wait. You
Okay.
don't
Yeah,
you want
spoilers,
spoiled, do you?
Anders.
Yeah.
Is the
Gotta
Marsh
keep playing.
of Rebirth? What is that? A location or a?
It's a location.
It is a
yeah.
location.
Okay, interesting.
It's
yeah.
kind of a late game location, but Darren's emoji combination is spot on. I feel like I was trying to think about this. I was like, I don't know, Darren, how we're gonna do this audio verbally here, but White Sky might be fish, umbrella, fish, because it's got
Yeah.
those big
Oh, yeah,
sails.
there you go.
That's
yeah,
great.
that's a
That's
good
great.
one. That's a good one.
Let me look at my emojis.
You could-
I
you
just
could do-
don't have a very good emoji.
Mine
What's the word I'm looking for?
vocabulary.
Vocabulary. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little out of your generation, and even me, I feel like,
Mm.
I only I kind of understand, but I definitely don't just naturally use emojis. Anytime I put them into text and stuff, I have to consciously consider it. But to the ranger symbol though, you could do you do ranger symbol, tree, ranger symbol, something like that. That's
Mhm.
Lone Tree Station.
Mhm. You're good at it. You're good at this.
Meadow has a bunch of sheep for the Ironwool sheep.
Yeah,
Sheep.
yeah.
I don't know if there's a grass emoji.
That's
There
probably
is. There definitely is. No, there's
mountain
not.
emojis.
Yeah, let's do mountain
Mm.
emojis.
Oh yeah, you could do a nice long one that's like the valley where you do mountain emojis over here, and then you do some woods, and then some
Uh-huh.
water, and then some woods, and then some mountains on the other side.
Yeah, there you go.
It's the valley.
For the Lutronals, I would do an otter. So that's my clever.
Yeah.
For a Lutronal, what is the name of the pack of them?
The whole
their
the
den.
Holt is their
Their Holt,
den.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I would do 3 of the otter emojis as seen here. There they are.
Beautiful. But there you go, Darren. You've gotten a bunch of
Oh, man.
I'm sure people who are much more adept with emojis than we are cringing at
Put your
Out of touch guys
emoji
talking about
combos
emojis.
in the comments on the video.
Oh, that's a
Yes.
good call. Yeah, I'd be curious to see.
sure.
Like, yeah, comments it on Discord. What emoji combos can you come up with for our various locations?
Yeah. I'm thinking so hard right now and I can't. I don't have enough time. Here's Evan. Evan's
Am I
back.
You're back.
All
Okay,
right.
cool. Sorry about that.
You missed
Ev-
the riveting emoji
I
conversation. so.
think
good.
Evan.
I mean, dang.
No, I feel like Evan would be good at this. What emoji combo can you think of? Mine was terrible, so no pressure. To represent something from Earthborne.
I was trying to think of something to combine with the mugs clinking together for Hearty Brew, but I just that's where I fell short.
Ooh.
There you
So-
go. That's all you got
But
to do.
I feel like that is what happens at every location because everyone's in such good spirits in the valley that when you stop at Meadow or Tumbledown or wherever, you're just hanging out with people, sharing a drink.
Clinking
Mhm.
mugs.
Yeah.
So 2 beer mugs and then a mountain. I think that's a good one.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. I'm sure the listeners are going to come up with some great ones. Maybe Maka will. Maka also writes to us this week with the question, with winter rapidly approaching, has Andrew N. started bragging about the weather where he is yet?
He's shown remarkably he's shown restraint, at least verbally to us. He hasn't bragged, but like, do you count him taking all of his video calls with palm trees and crap in the background?
Right. Look at him right now.
If that counts, then yes.
all our tables are outside. I think that's the thing. Like, no one has indoor seating here. It's like everything's outside.
Meanwhile, look at all that brown.
Oh, yeah, it looks familiar.
Ooh.
That looks real familiar.
I did
No,
have
I
to
think
ask
the
him
only thing
to-
I've bragged about is the food, is the quality of the food,
Mm.
which I think is an amazing step up from what we're used to living in Minnesota. Well, I guess especially if you eat fruits and vegetables from the store. Because here, fruits and vegetables don't travel far at all. Like a couple weekends ago, I actually drove by a Del Monte farm and
Interesting.
Chiquita Banana. Like
Interesting, yeah.
literal, so those things are they're gathered, they're put on containers, they're shipped across oceans to reach us in the States, and then eventually we get them. By the time we get them, they're they've reduced greatly in both flavor and nutritional value. So
And
it's
it may be
pretty
even-
amazing here for that.
It may even
for
be
that.
a different. Would it be a different type of banana that they ship versus the ones you eat there?
I don't think so. I mean, just bananas are just everywhere here. Like, you can walk back into this jungle back here and just find plantains just lying around. You just grab them, and make them.
Nice.
Every week, car comes by blaring announcements of the stuff he has in his truck and how much it costs. And so the other day, Rachel bought 30 bananas for 1.5 mil colones, which is $3. So I have this giant pile of bananas just sitting here.
Oh, dang.
I mean, look at all those bananas.
That's awesome.
And plantains. It's just hanging out. And it was $3. One banana would be $3 back home.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So yeah, but I would say from my personal feeling, it is pretty cool for it to be November 22nd and to not be cold.
Yeah.
That feels pretty good.
Yeah.
But next week I'll get a taste.
Right. That's gonna
That's
right.
right.
Feel weird. Be weird indeed.
Yeah, maybe we'll get a nice snowstorm in the few days you're
God.
back up here north,
I
so that you can
hope- I
really
hope not.
experience it.
Well, I think it's a little bit milder in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
just
it
gonna
is.
say that.
It's out east.
Little bit.
So.
Yeah, so it won't be too bad, but yeah, I'll I'm sure it'll be a shock both temperature wise and just sheer volume of humanity wise for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. All right, our next question comes from D. Cheds. Will the EBG team have stock of anything besides the core game at their PAX U booth?
Yes.
What will that be?
We won't have very much, so we'll have the core game. I could tell you exactly what we're bringing. We'll have 70 copies of the core game. And 2 of those are going to be used for demos. So, maybe we'll sell those at the end if someone wants them. We'll have an equal number of, so we'll be using the Kickstarter versions, so the ones that haven't been resealed. So we'll have the packs with the additional punch board there with them too. We're going to have 48 card doublers. I think an equal amount of Valley Trail maps. I think like 48 or 56. Pretty much as we can take. Pretty much everything we had left. Valley Trail maps that wasn't going to Covenant, we're going to have. Same thing goes for the tokens. We'll have 11 sets of wooden tokens. That's all we have left.
Ooh.
We will have those at the show.
Get there early if you want those.
That's right.
Gotta get those. I love those wooden tokens. They make it so much better.
Yeah.
They're pretty good. In hindsight, again, probably should have made more. And we're going to have 6 sets of the minis. Again, that's it. That's the end.
Love those minis too.
Yeah, they're very cool. And we'll have 24 copies of the World Book, but no playmats because they're all gone. Sadly, we have a few, but like I said, they're reserved for people who have already purchased them, and hopefully they'll show up and want them at some point here in the next couple months. That's everything. Yeah.
Now that I've played the game, so many questions are popping into my head throughout this that are not related at all to what you just talked about.
So we have the listeners' question section. Do we need the host questions section?
Okay, answer these questions briefly. You don't have to go so in depth. What? Because they're simple questions. Were the minis, were they sculpted in like CGI or like computer, or were they physically? Yeah. Okay, done. And then if you're playing 4 players. Playing 3 players, I noticed that you want to see what cards are over there across the table in front of your co-ranger. I found that to be hard. What is an optimal setup? Let's say there's 4 people. I also like the experience of sitting next to Evan, and we're both kind of looking forward at the same stuff, and it feels a little different when there's someone kind of wrapped around the side. What would you guys recommend there?
Go ahead, Fisher.
I generally have just liked 2 people side by side on one side of the table, 2 people side by side on the other side of the table facing each other. So then you have your partner next to you that you can see, and then the other people, it's still relatively close to you, but just upside down. And then you put along the way over to the right hand side. So there's a few people who are a little more distant from that, but that's kind of how we've done it when we played at the brewery and stuff. This worked pretty well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. Exact same thing.
Cool, I like that. But if you all have play mats, you're going to need a big table for that, I think.
Apparently bigger than the fold-out table we'll have at PAX. Those things are going to be cramped.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're kind of narrow.
Yeah.
I was pretty proud of myself, though. I've been playing without the play mat, and I'm doing all right.
Nice.
Me too.
We were talking about that, and I think the game, once you lay it all out, it still looks pretty good, even without the playmat.
For sure. I kind of prefer it without the playmat, to be honest.
Nice.
I like that you can just have the core game, and that's all you need, really.
Yeah, it's a little more flexible
to keep it
that way too.
Yeah. Let's go play at the brewery or whatever. All right. I'm sure I'll have more questions pop up in my head, but let's move on to Smiltson. Will there be a foreign language version of The Living Valley?
That's a good question.
Okay.
Put that in there because I think it's a good question to ask, but it's something that I'm not 100% sure on.
Sorry, what is that again? What is The Living
Living
Valley?
Valley is our online resource rules and and campaign guide resource. I think he's probably talking specifically about the campaign guide, but it might mean other things as well.
Yeah, so currently the Living Valley has our campaign guide with all of our errata already integrated into it. And it's in this kind of wiki format that you can easily search and sort. It's great. We are going to be adding a rules reference to that in the near future. And it'll kind of stay fully up to date with all our printings and errata and everything. So it would be a great resource to have. And I know there's interest in it being in different languages, but there's a lot of different factors that Andrew might be able to speak to.
Well, I mean, I think I think the biggest factor is just the willingness of the partners to invest the time in it, because it while it's mostly a copy and paste job to bring over stuff from InDesign, you have to do a lot of formatting of that text once it's in there, and then review it. I think, and I honestly don't know how the backend tools we have work, if we can just like have a toggle for the language, or it needs to be a whole separate instance. I have no idea.
Corey's been investigating that. The backend we're using does have some capabilities for that, but combined with all the other ways we're using it, I think he was a little unsure on exactly how it interact, and he needed to like do a little more investigation before he could say for sure that we could just turn on a language toggle.
Yeah.
But you're right that like one of the things is like it is kind of just a copy and paste job, but like every copy and paste job we do compounds our work, right?
Right.
Like because now like if we want to update or look into anything, we've got our print files, right? That like we have to, these InDesign files that we have to keep up to date. We have the Living Valley that we need to keep up to date. We have the errata document for people who are referencing their print files. And then we usually have some form of tracking in a spreadsheet so that we can pass any updates on to all of our partners and just keep track of how the game has changed. And so like, it is a simple copy and paste job, but now we've turned like, oh, just, tweak this or look this up, and we've quadrupled the work.
Yeah.
And so it adds up.
100%. So yeah, so I think it's something that obviously all of our partners are aware of. They know it exists, and I would imagine that most of them, all things being perfect, would love to. If time and energy and effort were not something they had to consider, I think they'd be like, yeah, that'd be great, but they have other products and projects to do, and at the end of the day, it might just be better for them and easier just to do the work once, like Fischer was saying, update the PDF and then post that instead. So we'll see. We have an open invitation, obviously, to all of our partners, I think, to do it. It's just a question of whether or not we can implement it, and then if they want to take the time to do it.
Alrighty, cool. Next question comes from Captain Ahab. Any plans for more pewter minis in the next crowdfunding campaign? They are rad. I agree. They are so cool.
Yeah, thanks. I also like them. Yeah, I've pretty much already committed to us doing it. So we're going to be doing it. So pretty much every, by the end, when it's all said and done, you'll be able to have a pewter mini for every role. So this next campaign will have the 4 roles that we didn't do the first time around. You'll have the new roles from the Stewards of the Valley expansion.
How many? So that's 4 or from the new expansion.
So that's a total of 7 new. No, it's a total of 11 new minis.
11. Yep.
Yeah. So it's a lot. But yep, we'll make them available. Yeah, and the way that I think I'm going to approach it this time around is, and then going forward, is that these will be things that, because of the nature of them, how I want to do it is make them available every time we do a crowdfunding campaign, like the entire range. So you can never be locked out of getting the minis if that's something that you want, because I know that can be like a big detractor for someone to be like, hey, these minis are cool, but I can't get the first set, so I'm not going to get any of them. And I want to be able to allow those people to buy those minis. So what we'll be doing really is just kind of similar to what we're going to be doing with the playmats, is just printing them more to order. And we'll just do it every campaign. We'll make them available, and however many orders we get, that's how many we'll do. And then we'll probably have a few extras, like we did this last time, that we'll sell off. But yeah, you'll always be able to get them. Is my plan, it's my hope, and I think our manufacturing partner on that, he doesn't have an issue storing those molds, like they're small, so it should be pretty easy to do. And there's not any bulk savings either on these, so it doesn't really matter. They're super expensive to make.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Next question comes from Loquitur. There has been quite a bit of talk regarding homebrewing on the Discord lately. Do you have a more zoomed out map of the surrounding areas of the valley that you could share?
I love that question.
That is a good question. We don't have a map, but we do talk about it in the world book a bit, about where other areas are. I feel like that's enough to go on. if you're looking to expand the world through homebrew stuff.
Why do you love that
I think
question?
We'll save a
Evan?
map until we're ready to do it.
Yeah.
Don't you think, Evan?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why you want to see somebody else do it, or would you like to do that?
Oh, we'll do it, but I mean, Evan will be the one to do it in the end. But I think
is that exciting to you, Evan?
Yeah, it's exciting. I just want to execute it as close to my vision as possible, I guess, or to Andrew's vision.
Yeah.
So.
Well, all right, we can work on that together. Like I said, we only have the sketch of what's around there, because we have the Ice Clans to the north, we have the Mississippians to the east, we have the Smoke Domes to the west, and then the Verdessa to the south. And everything else is it's pretty open to interpretation. Like, we can add all sorts of cool stuff in there.
Cool.
And there's some additional valley locations that we haven't gotten to yet either, that are like Plateau, which I don't think we've decided to remove canonically from the valley. That's off to the west.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, it's off to the west. We may still explore that.
Yeah.
It's not in our immediate plans, but yeah.
We have the Bitter Pass to the east, and then Blind Peak, kind of to the southeast. So yeah, lots of cool stuff that will eventually show up on a map. Maybe when we get back to the RPG, I think that'll probably be the first place we'll probably do a more expanded map.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Awesome. Next one is from Dogboy. Your comments in the last podcast about a romance expansion, which I want, made me think, if given the opportunity, what would you want to do for an April Fool's Day expansion? Well, we can't tell you now.
So I don't know. Do you guys have thoughts? Have you put any thought into this?
No, I did. I pasted this question in, but I did not think about it. I feel like DeVee had a pitch at one point for an April Fool's expansion. I'm pretty sure he had an idea. But your tone of voice sounded like you had something, Andrew.
No, I just, my feeling on there's ways to do it, right? Like Chip Theory is a company, for example, that does like April Fool's stuff that becomes a thing all the time. But their IP is pretty like, let's just say they don't take it too seriously. It's very, everything they do is very much tongue in cheek, with some minor exceptions. At FFG, obviously, all of our IPs were very serious, and I think they take themselves seriously, and I agree with that approach. So I also take the Rangers IP very seriously, because I think it's important for IPs to take themselves seriously, so that other people can they can have the fun with them. we don't have to poke fun at ourselves. I think that just kind of, in my opinion, I think that degrades from the strength of the IP. So at FFG, we finally got to a point with one of our IPs, the Arkham Horror IP, that I felt like it was solid enough to withstand an April Fool's product when it was pitched to me. The Barkham Horror expansion, where you turned all the characters into dogs, and it was like this goofy one-off scenario that all surrounded pets and stuff. And hilarious. Like what we planned to do with that thing was like, it was supposed to be like a one-off for charity product, was how it was envisioned. But then once the sales team got wind of it, they're like, oh no, we gotta like actually make this a thing. And then it became all official, and I felt like it, I don't know, in my opinion, that was not the way to go with that, but it is what it is. But I think people really liked it, obviously. But I think we would need to, I want to be more solid as far as like what our IP is, and as far as how much reach it has, before we goof on it.
Mm-hmm. I also
that.
think, like, well, Earthborne takes itself seriously. There's a bit more whimsy in our setting than there are, like, I think that Arkham Horror parodies, but April Fools as well, because it's so grim that like something goofy feels like this huge break, right? But we have some whimsy already, so a little extra whimsy in Earthborne doesn't really feel like an April Fool's to me. Like, I almost feel like an April Fool's joke in Earthborne would have to be like, you want to, like, you almost have to like pivot on your vision and create this ridiculous contrast. So it'd be like like a space marine in Earthborne Rangers, like dripping in blood, right? Would be like the contrast, right? And I totally agree with your point about like resilience of the IP or whatever. But I also don't think that like, the Barkham Horror, the all dog ranger team would hit in Rangers. That kind of joke wouldn't hit in Rangers like it would. Yeah, because you have a pet dog in the game, right? And I know you have Duke in. But
and the police dog. There was also the police dog.
Yeah, so, but like, Oru is like happy, and like there's a pet test, and so like we just have too much whimsy to like joke on ourselves in that way too.
Yeah, I think we could. Oh, so go ahead, Evan.
Oh, I was just gonna say, my idea was a spin-off of Barkham Horror where, but now I like it too much, right? I don't want it to just be an April Fool's joke where you play as Oru or any other like animal being companion that you'd come across in Rangers, and then your companions are Rangers that you play, and you can do the reverse of like doing a fit pet test. You can do like a, I don't know what Oru would like, nuzzle a Ranger or something. And maybe it's a whole heist. You have to get the biscuits from
I love
Sneak
that.
Biscuits and for the rest of the animals that stay at Lone Tree or something. I don't know.
Or needs to go deliver biscuits to the raccoon.
Yeah,
I think it'd be fun to do something that was like the thing that I think could be cool is if we had like an in-world thing. Like if we imagined maybe the April Fool's Day has become a like a holiday in the setting, and then maybe you have missions where you go around and try to goof on people. Prank people.
Yeah, where you go prank other members of the valley. We can just do that as a real mission.
That's right.
That can just exist in the game. It doesn't even need to be April Fool's.
Prankster. Cool. I bet Dogboy didn't think that question would get such a deep answer. But I'm glad it did. All right, our next question comes from Pax Cecilia. Question for the podcast. Add a goat companion.
Not a question.
This one.
I'm sorry,
I put this one in
Pax.
because it made me laugh.
Sorry, Pax, you have to phrase that in the form of a question. 0 points. Okay.
I've thought about adding a goat. I like the idea of adding a goat. I was trying to think of a name for the goat at one point, but I couldn't think of a good one. But I think a goat companion would be very cool for our mountain expansion.
Yeah.
Oh
You
yeah,
should-
yeah.
it should just
And it'd
be
be
called
appropriate
goat.
for the region.
Just goat.
Just
No
goat.
name.
Just
Goats
call
don't
it
have
goat.
names. Yeah, they don't have names.
Oh, this one might.
What's the name of the evil goat from The Witch or
Black
The
Phillip.
Witch?
Black
Black
Phillip.
Phillip.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
I think so, right? Is that right?
Totally on IP. Yeah.
yeah, it's something like that.
The evil goat. But
Oh,
no,
I
like
lo-
a mountain goat would be super cool. You
Yeah.
know, like see those most of the time when I go out to Colorado, and yeah.
Whatever
Love-
test you perform on, if you fail it, you get kicked off the mountainside or something.
yeah.
We probably ignore obstacles too, climbing on them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or maybe you attach the goat to the obstacle. and
Yes,
climbs
now we're
out.
talking.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
All right. Next question from Jamarobo. Obo Bobo. As sustainability has been a core pillar of Earthborne, and you've previously engaged with the Institute of Sustainability, Energy, and Environment, who wrote a report on your aims. Who wrote a report on your aims back in 2021? Is the team going to put out a lessons learned now the game is out to make it easier for others to follow in your footsteps and make their games in a more sustainable fashion?
I didn't know
Wasn't-
that was the name of that, but yeah, that's the university. I had to Google it. I was like, did they? Did we? But that's
And
the
did-
University of Illinois.
Wasn't there some kind of a didn't we go through some kind of like manifesto?
That was the
Or-
Green Games Guide. That was something else.
Okay.
Yeah, this was the. I assume this was written by the students who we worked with in the fall of 2021, who did a bunch of research for us. And I asked them a bunch of difficult questions, and sometimes they had the answers, and sometimes they didn't. Sometimes they could find answers, and sometimes they could not.
Lessons learned.
Yeah, I've thought about this a few times. It's just so hard to prioritize. I think what I've just kind of relegated myself to personally is just talking about it, which is much, much easier than writing a whole thing and sharing my experience. And I will continue to do that as the opportunity arises. I got an invite recently to speak for like at a university class that I'll probably do and talk about the experience of making the game. But this to me seems like something that would definitely be valuable, and I think it'd be interesting. And it feels like something I should do before I forget everything. But yeah, it's really hard to prioritize.
Right. It would be nice.
Yeah, and there's other companies doing it too, like going this direction too, and doing similar things. So I think that's been good. I continue to feel like where we have taken it a step further than most is considering not only where the materials come from, but where they go. And I think that's the one point where I feel like we continue to kind of like do more than what's been done by other people. But as far as like, sustainably sourcing things and using FSC paper and all that stuff, or not using plastic or shrink wrap, there's lots of publishers starting to do that now.
I will say it was pretty cool to see the
Looking like David Lynch.
Hey, your hair.
Yeah.
I like it.
I took off my hat and it's all sticking up. It was fun to see. It's crazy how weird the game feels in that it doesn't have any plastic or anything that you'd expect. And that's pretty cool in unboxing it as well. All right. Buffalo 7 writes, what are some of the most out there ideas you've had? Sorry, I'm editing these in real time. What are some of the most out there ideas you've had with the Earthborne Rangers IP?
I don't know. What do you think, Evan? I feel like that's where a
I'm-
lot of these ideas manifest, is in the artwork.
Well,
Bloody Space
outside
Marine.
outside of the artwork, real quick, I've never been able to mention this before. This is a perfect opportunity. I always look at the personality cards, which people talk about are the ones that get replaced with rewards, and I want to see in the future something to do narratively with the personality cards. Like every time you arrive at a location, and you can interact with the people of like a location using your personality cards to kind of up your chances of having a positive interaction or something. I would, because they're so thematic and cool.
Mm-hmm.
That I just think it'd be cool if there was like a reserve stack of personality cards or something. But
Hmm.
also, I keep thinking about it, and I can't think of a way because I'm not a developer where it wouldn't get too fiddly, And that's the important thing is like if the fiddliness gets in the way of fun immersion, then it's probably not worth doing. But
Mhm.
that's the out there idea that I feel like I'm always tossing ideas at you guys, and I don't know if they're good or not. Like they sound good to me, and I just imagine you two are just like, yeah, that's great, yeah, cool, good idea. I'll forget about that.
No, we appreciate your ideas, Evan.
Yeah, that's
You're too
not
hard
how
on
I.
yourself.
That's not how I operate.
No, I know it's back to like FFG where I'd go in like the developer's room and just be like, hey, you know what you guys should do? And I'm just like, that's probably the last thing they want to hear is graphic designer
and you
throwing
never see
ideas at
that. Yeah,
How about on the IP side, Evan? What's the weirdest, most out there thing on from a narrative or world building standpoint that you've
So-
talked about as drawing the art?
Yeah, so early on when we were trying to establish what the tech looked like and how it was interacted with, and Andrew, what your expectations of it manifesting were. I know that you mentioned you're not really into the idea of like display screens and interfacing with like an iPad, essentially,
Mhm.
which I
Mhm.
totally agree with. I don't think that would serve the world well.
Mhm.
I kept thinking of different ways to display information, and one idea that I had was I saw this video of how acoustics can cause a pile of sand to form into unique shapes based on the waveform or whatever. I thought that was really cool, and I thought maybe there's a room that is just full of sand, and there's precise acoustics that can elevate, cool different densities of pixels into this open air space to form things, and that became something else in the world. I think there's a reward card that kind of does something like that visually.
Mhm.
So that was my out there idea, was to like utilize some sort of small particulate matter, uh, penetrate it with sound to make it turn into shapes and things in 3D. I thought that was really cool.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Not too out there, but out there.
What do you think the weirdest thing is, most out there thing is, Andrew?
It's hard to say. I don't know if I can judge my own out there-ness. But I feel like a lot of the ideas we've been talking about for the upcoming expansions really start to push the boundaries of the world in a way that we haven't done so yet. So I don't want to spoil anything there, but I think
Yeah.
there's
Some of the stuff
Yeah.
we've talked about the that kind of culmination expansion that we've discussed, right? Like,
yeah.
there's some weird stuff in there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think it's kind of just I think just goes along, and I think it works well with the philosophy of the storytelling and world building. Like where we start simple and then we add complexity as we go. So
Mhm.
like we're not jumping in the deep end immediately, but eventually you'll find yourself naturally in the deep end, and it'll feel correct as opposed to like there's a lot of weird shit going on in this world. Like I don't even know what's going on. Like
Mhm.
we're introducing it gradually. So yeah, I would say just get excited for future expansions where we'll be introducing all sorts of fun and out there concepts.
Yeah, just to jump in again real quick, there was a lot of stuff that you shared with me when I first came on the project, just vision stuff that I thought was amazing that
Thanks.
hasn't really appeared in the core game. So I can't really talk about any of it, but very exciting.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Thanks.
Well, one out there idea I had, because I worked on the game a little bit, that Evan shot down. I did like the web wall, you know? I thought it would be cool if it was made out of like easy cheese, you know, like the spray. Spray
Like
cheese.
literally or just like visually similar?
Just literally made out of it.
You could harvest it too to
Exactly.
get some fatigue back.
Enjoy the easy cheese.
Yeah,
Nice enjoy test.
Some bioengineer created a spider that spins its webs out of easy cheese.
It's easier. It's easier. All right. I was stewing on that joke that whole time you guys were talking. So,
What about Fisher though? Did you have any?
Yeah, right.
Oh, I don't know. I queued up all of you because I didn't have a good answer to this.
Oh,
I
okay.
think the most out there thing that made it in the game, at least from like my perspective, relative to a lot of the other stuff in the game, there is a certain card up at Northern Outpost that is like a lot more out there than a lot of like the rest of RIP. It stretches. It says something about the IP that nothing else says.
Yeah.
And I think that's at least the most out there thing
Mhm.
that
Ooh.
made it into the game.
So it's like
That's
a path
true.
card that's specific to that location.
Yep. I
Ooh.
won't spoil it entirely, but there is a path card up there that I think is the most out there thing in the game that's in the core set.
Yeah, I remember like, I specifically remember the moment when like talking to you about that in development, because like it's something that I had on the spreadsheet for pretty much the entire game, the entire time of development, and it was continually ignored. And eventually, I was like, "This isn't a joke. Like, I really want this."
It was just ignored because we were like, we didn't know what to do with it, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I think where we landed with it is cool, right?
Oh yeah,
Kind
I
of.
love how it was implemented.
But like
I really
we weren't
like it.
sure how to like mechanically manifest it, you know, and
Yeah.
like it took some talking to you to kind of figure out what felt right.
Yeah, but yeah, I love that. I love that card, and all that whole branch of stuff is fun.
Cool. That's where I'm going next. All right. Next question comes from Grisamentum. Have any of you heard of or watched the show Scavenger's Reign? Oh yeah. It's a short animated series set on another planet that seems to revolve around its fascinating fictional, fleshed-out ecology. Based on the media you consume, I think you'd like it. I saw the trailer and the animation looks really great.
Mm-hmm.
Has anybody watched it?
I hadn't heard of it until last night. It's like one of those Bader Meinhof things where like last night the Nerd Writer YouTube channel released a video about this, and I'd never heard about it. And then I saw this question today, and it looks fascinating. And I put this question in partially to help myself to remember to watch it.
I think I think we talked about this in the staff chat, didn't we? Or
I think Corey
somewhere
mentioned it or something.
Yeah.
Oh, and like I don't think we mentioned it in the chat. Maybe you guys talked about it in the art meeting.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but I did recently subscribe to HBO Max, and it's on that.
Mhm.
So that's an option. But I did watch the short upon which it was based. I have seen that, and it is interesting. It's it's got some really interesting vibes. It's very dark vibe feeling to it, but it's got some interesting concepts. I would say the short, it kind of uses, it's kind of the same gag over and over again. Like, here's this weird animal. It does this weird thing for no apparent reason other than to be weird or to be convenient to the characters and moving the little voiceless narrative forward. So some of that stuff I think works better than others, but visually, design wise, creativity wise, I think it's really, really fascinating.
Cool. And then the next part of the question is how much have meteorological or geological events shaped the world in Earthborne Rangers? Any meteor crashes reshaping landscapes and biomes? Major earthquakes or volcano eruptions shaking things up?
Nothing that we've defined yet. There
Nothing
was
at least nothing globally cataclysmic.
Yes, I mean, I think you could imagine things like that happening in places in the world. The area of the world we're in, there's no volcanoes or anything. So, well, I guess there is a fault line in the middle of the country that we could do something with. I think the only thing that we've hinted at is the kind of massive terraforming that happened to create the Mississippian Sea. So effectively, the majority of the Midwest is now underwater. Everything, pretty much everything immediately east and west of the Mississippi is an ocean. It's like a shallow sea. So yeah, that's pretty big. That's where Renkova's from. He's from that sea.
Cool. I love that stuff. All right, next question's from Sildrick. I know you guys have talked about doing other games in the Earthborne setting, but have you thought of doing any other settings with a system similar to this one?
Yes.
I was waiting. I was going to do that if you didn't. We have next question.
Yeah. It's just, the thing is, we would need to be twice as big easy than what we are right now to make that possible, because it's just so much work. And that's really been the only thing that's really prevented us from, I think, exploring that more seriously, is this: we look at it and we're like, yeah, that'd be cool, but we're already doing this. And I don't know if we have the time, or we don't have the time or energy to do another Earthborne Rangers system game somewhere right now. It's
a lot of Rangers is a lot of content. I think it comes out in an interesting emergent way, but you have to keep in mind that we're designing the amount of cards that are in an LCG, the equivalent of a whole cycle with its deluxe box and everything, all at once for cards. And then we're also designing this, and Sam and Andrew are writing this big branching narrative at the same time. And so and a card game just requires just this monumental amount of art. Card games and RPGs both just so much art is required to get them out, and kind of branching narrative games have this just tons of complexity in trying to figure out all the different ways it can kind of emergent narratives can come about and if they make sense. And so we've kind of taken two incredibly complex, hard to test, hard to develop genres and mashed them together. And so the bandwidth needed to make a bunch of different games in this system would be pretty huge. So I don't know if other games in the same system but different IPs are as likely as games in this existing IP where we've already done all this work to build up the IP and thought about the setting and put all this time and thought into crafting it.
Yeah. That all being said, if someone wants to license our system,
oh yeah, absolutely,
feel free to reach out.
Follow-up question: what would be a setting that would be cool? An IP or something? What IP could use this effectively?
Oh man,
we've talked about a lot of interesting options.
Yeah, I mean, Star Trek would be cool. I think Lord of the Rings would be cool. One of the things that is always at top of mind for me is just, does the setting align itself well enough with the goals of our studio, for narratives and trying to steer away from violence and well-worn tropes.
Right.
I think that's because I think we could apply this system to all sorts, really to anything. It's kind of like it is like a role playing system in that way, where I think it could be adapted to pretty much anything. But it's just a question of, does the IP both fit the game or fit the system and fit our mission to elevate that level of narrative at the table.
Cool. All right, I'm going to read this next question, then I have to run and do a quick task, and I'll be back by the time you're done answering, I bet. All right, my group loves EBR, but the biggest complaint I'm hearing so far is that getting reward cards is too slow, and each reward only goes to 1 or 2 rangers. We also can see the upgrades we get from some of the events that let us put cards from the starting pool into our decks. Obviously, the system will get better as the starting pool increases in size. Are there going to be other consistent ways to get cards into our decks in the future? Okay, be right back.
So Fisher, do you think is this fishing for? Because I think I know this conversation was from our Discord. Like, I think they're fishing for, hey, can we have an XP system?
I think this questioner did mention the XP system in some of the text that was cut for time. Sometimes I trim the questions for to give Anders a bit more concise of a question to ask. But so I think they mentioned the XP system, but I think they mentioned that they're not necessarily asking for it. But yeah, I think it's that kind of vein of thing. We actually we experimented with different systems like that during development, but it just didn't quite feel right to us. One of the things we like about the rewards is that they all correspond to a thing you did, and the flavor of the reward card corresponds to a story moment you had. And so your deck becomes a story of your adventures instead of just oh, I upgraded my X or Y card to X or Y level 2, right? Instead, my deck becomes a collection of my experiences. So we really like that. And you're right. The cards do unlock a little slower. It kind of depends on your priorities. The story doesn't actually unlock that many mission cards. So if you're just beelining the story, doesn't unlock that many reward cards. If you're beelining the story, you don't get as many as if you go off the beaten path and just start helping people. So there's that. But our pace is still kind of slow, especially in if you're in a 4-player game without the doubler, reward cards are going to be a bit of a slow drip for you. But as you to your point, you come across these different traders and customize your deck a little, and you're just going to keep unlocking reward cards, and eventually you get this big pool of options to pull from. So it's a bit of a slower burn, but keep in mind that we have this campaign that can last 20 to 30 sessions, and we have multiple campaigns past that all sequentially take the same characters through it. And so it is a bit of a slow build that we want your character kind of build and evolve through. And so no, there's not as many reward cards right up front for you, but by the time you get through this campaign and into the next expansion, trust me, you'll feel like you have a big reward pool by then.
Yeah. Well, I think too, though, like you were saying, it's about priorities. Because if you want to just get a bunch of rewards, you can make that happen in pretty short order if you focus on it. But I think maybe that might be the thing that isn't necessarily apparent until you start playing, is that the rewards are with the side activities almost exclusively. There's a handful throughout the campaign, but you get way more from going around and helping people and doing little side things. So especially for those first few days of the campaign, you could just focus almost entirely on running around and getting reward cards, and you'd have a lot before the story really gets going.
Or you could run into the swamp and get almost none.
That's right.
We did get Ranger
two.
Badge.
Yeah,
we got two.
badge.
We got two. Yeah.
That might be the most important reward.
Personally, I think they're perfectly paced, because by the time I got my first reward card, I still didn't even know what the cards in my deck were. You know what I mean? I wanted to get a grapple on that first before I'm getting, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of I think questions, criticisms like this are from different category of player, and I
Right.
think it's important always when we get, because I had a conversation with someone on the Covenant Discord, who again was coming from a more of a, I've played a lot of these games. These are my expectations. This is what I want. And the game wasn't doing that for him necessarily. And I think that's, obviously a fine perspective to come from.
Mhm.
But then there are people who were on the other side who are like, well, no, these are all the things I like about this game.
Mhm. Mhm.
So,
Exactly.
yeah, it's really interesting to see the different perspectives, and to keep in mind that, while the hardcore gamer is important and helps push us in certain ways, that we don't necessarily do everything toward that gamer, because there are other people who are enjoying it for all the reasons you might wish it were another way.
Oh my God, yeah. I told Fischer that one night I just read every comment on the Board Game Geek page.
Oh God.
When I was really into it, I was really into it, thinking about the game, and I just wanted to see what other people thought. And you're right. One person will say one criticism, and it's clear they are somebody who loved Arkham Horror. And the next person, it's just like, I love it. And you're like, just what you said. It's like they're talking about the same thing. One loves it, one doesn't. It's really interesting to me to read those.
So there are a lot of like legitimate criticisms out there, and we like really have tried to engage with the fan community, and we're taking them to heart, and we're looking at ways to address them and stuff. But then also at the same time, to this discussion, there are two types of games. There are the types of games people criticize, and then there's the types of games that nobody plays.
Right.
And so,
Yeah.
I think that to be an interesting game, you are going to be a game that isn't necessarily for everyone.
Mhm.
And so, things like these reward cards, we made decisions about what we wanted them to represent in the IP, how we wanted to pace them out, and it might not be for everyone, right? We did not make Earthborne Rangers from a perspective of like, this is the perfect way to make a game. We made this from the like, this is the way we want to make this game.
Mhm.
Or like, I think when I first came onto the project, I made like this vision document, and one of the things I put in the vision thing is like the target audience. And I think we just put through the target audience Andrew Navarro. It's just like, we just want to make a game that Andrew wants to play, and then hope there are other like-minded people out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was mission accomplished. There's no game I've played more than this, and I'm still really enjoying it. So
That's cool. That's cool. And reading those reviews, I mean, I already knew this, but after talking with you guys for like a year and a half about every little step of your process, and then to read a 2-sentence review that just kind of clearly didn't get it and just writes it off like that, has an opinion about it, after everything that I know you guys have put into it, it's crazy. I will say, though, the majority of the reviews are positive. Anyway, Andrew, are you still holding out on looking at that?
It's I check in every once in a while.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I try not to go into the ratings too far. I checked out Board Game Geek again recently, where we've moved up pretty far in the customizable chart. But I still know how that works, man. Like, there are some games that have fewer ratings and a lower score than us that are above us, and I don't know how that works.
Fewer ratings,
Yeah,
lower score, but above.
Yeah.
That's very odd.
It is odd. I don't know. It's just time. Does it just need to? Do we need
there's
merit?
some other factor beyond that. Because it's usually a combination of number of ratings and like quality of ratings. But then there's weird exceptions. So there's something else they're factoring in there.
Yeah.
Are there like critic scores that are getting a bigger chunk of the pie?
I have no idea. No
All right.
clue.
All right, that brings us to Anders Indie Game Corner. I didn't want to segue that smoothly, so. Anders Indie Game Corner. I already talked about the game that I've been playing most, which was Earthborne. By far, played that the most. But I also played this little game called Shogun Showdown, and that's a deck building roguelite where you play as a little ninja, and it's turn-based combat. Where you are on the board matters. It's really fun. I put some good hours into that one. Pixel art, which I like. Fisher, did you ever check it out?
I haven't yet. No,
No,
I've been a little busy in the last week. I did. I the thing I was going to bring up is that when you messaged me about it, I gave you crap because it was the second roguelike deck builder with an alliterative name that you'd sent me in 24 hours.
Shogun Showdown, Cobalt Core. That's right.
Yep, that's right. It was Cobalt Core was the other one.
Cobalt Core I'd never got around to playing because Shogun Showdown is cheaper. And then I also played a lot of Risk of Rain Returns, which I don't know. Risk of Rain is one of the more famous roguelikes.
Yeah, is Returns a remake of the 2D one? Because I know that Risk of Rain 2 went to like 3D, right?
It did, and that wasn't for me because first person or just shooters like that make me nauseous. But yeah, having a lot of fun with Risk of Rain Returns. If you haven't played it, it's one of my favorite games of that genre.
Also alliterative.
Risk of Rain. Yeah, you got it. I mean, all good titles aren't they? Risk of Rain Returns. I enjoy that a lot. Have any of you guys ever played Risk of Rain?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like it a lot. And then we've got this show that I watched last night with my mom. It's on Showtime called The Curse. And it's from Nathan Fielder, who did Nathan For You.
Oh, yeah.
And The Rehearsal, which was excellent. And then Benny Safdie, who's one of the Safdie brothers who did Uncut Gems. And what else? Good Time, I think, is the other movie. Both people I love, and this show is perfect for me. I loved it so far. 2 episodes in. Super weird, makes you think. You don't know what's happening. I can't really say too much about the plot, but it's like this couple who are recording an HGTV show, and they're kind of gentrifying this town, and it's kind of surreal at times.
Oh yeah. I saw. It looks like very cringy humor.
It's not even, to me, it's like, it is funny, but I think it's played so straight that it doesn't even feel like it's supposed to be a comedy. But and it's cringy, not like, oh my god, he's being so cringe, that's funny. It's kind of like uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, that's just so uncomfortable. But
is it
That's
fully
what I mean.
fiction? Because Nathan he normally does like
right. That's what I was wondering too.
kind of like there's real people involved usually, right? In most of the other stuff. Okay.
I think that they used non-actors, but it is scripted, the whole thing.
Okay.
There isn't, but it's shot in a way that looks like it's a like hidden camera show almost. Like every shot is kind of from across the street, like, you know, looking into the diner that they're talking in from outside. It's a very unique show. Check out the first episode. You'll know if you like it or not right away. It's exactly
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, I felt like watching the commercial for it, like the 2-minute trailer. I was like, I think I'm good. I'm good. I get it.
Too uncomfortable.
I was like, I don't think I can watch this. I feel like I understand what's happening here. I'm
How
good.
could you though? I still don't know what's happening 2 episodes in. It surprises you a lot. I don't think. But if you know right away it's not your thing, then it won't be your thing.
I could feel it already. It's like I don't want to feel my crawling in my body like that.
Oh my god. Okay, because I'm usually pretty immune to that stuff, and it had me crawling, so you would hate it.
Oh man, I really want to watch this now.
Oh, you would like it, Evan. It's very strange. Okay. So yeah, that's my stuff that I'm into. Check out Shogun Showdown though, if you're looking for a cool, simple roguelike for cheap people, listeners, if you like that kind of thing. All right. Who's next? Evan. Have you done anything lately?
I'm playing Rangers, personally.
Oh, yeah.
That's the
Let's
only thing
go.
I've been doing in my free
Solo.
time. Yeah,
The
I've been
hot
playing
game
solo
right now.
Yeah,
It is the hot game.
I really love I much prefer the character that I've created over Renzo, only because Renzo's deck is so tragic. But I'm playing as a Undaunted Seeker, and with Shepherd background, and it's a lot of fun. I'm on like day 15 already.
Nice.
And I just had a really wicked ride down the Silverfin. I took a lot of um uh had to shed a lot of cards due to ambush, and ended up passing out at a narrative moment and having to camp for the day and restart. And Anders, like you asking Fischer questions, I've been asking Davi questions because I have so much interaction with Fischer. I don't want to overload him with just.
But you're fine. You can
No, I
reach
know.
out to
I'm
me.
just kidding. No, I just chose Davi because he's online all the time. Like, or at least it appears like he's online a lot. So I'm like, oh, good. I'm gonna ask him a question.
Davi is one of those people who has like that Discord superpower where they just like are everywhere all the time on Discord and just like on top of like all the communication. So yeah, I mean, in that way, I think he's probably a good
Yeah.
person to ping because I don't like Discord just like happens naturally for him.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas for me, it's always like, something I have to check and think about.
Yep,
Mhm,
me too.
mhm.
He's been super helpful though. I've made a lot of dumb mistakes that have both been an impediment to me, but also a benefit. So I feel like I don't feel too bad about it because they kind of even each other out or neutralize each other. But I am looking forward to just. I wanted to jump in with a shaper, but I know that the shaper is a little more strategic or might require a little more skill. So I'm excited to get through this and see the fullness of the game as I played it through the first time, and then I want to jump right back into it as a shaper and try different things. And um, plus the shaper conduits are some of the favorite pieces that I've done from the core game. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I can't really talk about exactly where I'm at right now because it's spoilery. So just
When you
know
play
that
when you play solo, do you sit there and just solidly play for a whole session, or do you kind of like come and go from the table?
so-
Like how do you do solo?
I mean, I have it set up right here next to me. So
Oh,
I
cool.
I just have it going like if I'm wrapping up for lunch, I'll quick play around.
Nice.
And I play in the morning the most. And yeah, that's how I don't sit down for like 2 hours straight. I don't really have time for that unless it's on the weekend and my daughter's napping. So, and it's been great for that sort of thing. Like it's there, and it's not going anywhere. And it's like I have this. I don't have a very good memory, but every book I've ever read, I remember exactly where I'm at if I stop reading it. Like there's books from years ago. I'm like, I know where I'm at in that book, and it's like this for the game too. Like I'm not gonna like have to relearn, where or reacquaint myself or whatever. The one difficulty I'm having with the game is trying to remember where my sorry, my cat.
Hey, Buzz.
Trying to remember where a campaign thing happened from, because there's campaign entries on the campaign tracker, there's campaign entries on the mission card, there's campaign entries elsewhere in the book or in so that's been like the one difficulty I've had is like if I need to retrace my steps to make sure I have the right entry, I'm like, oh, where did that entry come from? Was it a mission card or was it? But other than that, everything's so self-explanatory if I just take the time to think about it.
Cool. I'm not that way. Okay. I forgot everything that has happened so far. All right, Fisher. Thanks, Evan. Fisher, what have you got going on?
I mean, like, I haven't been consuming a lot of media, which we normally talk about here. That the aforementioned basement reno is taking up, and the aforementioned baby has been taking up a lot of my time at the moment. But the basement reno is kind of fun. It's finally underway, and they're gutting it right now. But like one of the things we've been kind of doing at the same time is like planning out what the rooms are going to the new rooms are going to kind of look like, because like the stuff that was previous in our basement was like we had like a dining room table and some IKEA shelves down there or whatever, but we're putting a guest room down there and we don't have that stuff, and so we're able to kind of like concept the room from scratch, right? Which is not like in your 20s, at least for me, in my 20s, most of my living situation was just furniture that I randomly acquired like through college and into my early 20s, and you just get all your possessions are just like random things that came from different places and they're all mismatched, right?
Right.
And so like this is an opportunity to have everything like planned. And so that's been kind of fun. And one of the rooms we're doing down there is the dining room / game room. And we've got some cool ideas. I have this. I think I've mentioned it to maybe Andrew, but I have this kind of. We'll see if it pans out. But this idea of mounting board games on the wall, like art. And so like one of the walls is going to have like all these pieces, a bunch of my nerdy art. I've got like the Doctor Who Van Gogh and stuff, and so we're gonna have those, but they're gonna be tiled with like board games we think are pretty. And like I've got these like L brackets that I'm gonna mount on the wall, and then they can kind of slide into the bottom of the box. So you can actually just slide the box onto the wall, and so it's kind of like just hovering there like a piece of art, and then you can just take it off if you want to play it.
That's super cool.
I have this vision for this nerd wall that's going to like dominate the dining room, but so we'll see if it pans out. But that's been like getting to think about that and plan. That's kind of fun and exciting. It's not something really gotten to do much of.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I've consumed a little. I've watched a little TV, not directly, but Sam's off work, and she gets a bunch of parental leave, and so she's taking care of Wyatt, and taking care of a baby at this age is a lot of like just feeding the baby, holding the baby, feeding the baby. And so she's been watching a bunch of TV. And so, like I'll catch different episodes or like parts of episodes as she's watching them. And then she'll like, we'll like get together late, like after work, and like be eating dinner, and she'll tell me about the things that happened in the parts I didn't see. And so I've gotten to see some TV through that. Like she's catching up on all sorts of stuff. She watched The Fall of House Usher, which is like the one by the people who did Midnight Mass. Not quite as good as Midnight Mass was, but now she's like catching up on like all the nerdy shows we've fallen behind on, like Ahsoka and Loki and stuff. So yeah, kind of like in and out on TV, but it's kind of fun too. Like it's weird, but I've actually kind of enjoyed the like her catching me up on things is kind of fun, and like getting her take on it and then like filling in the gaps with that is actually kind of an interesting experience.
Yeah, when I was in high school, when Seinfeld came out, and I didn't always watch Seinfeld, but Joe always watched Seinfeld. So at lunch the next day after Seinfeld, he would just tell me the entire plot and crack me up. And it was awesome. I almost preferred Seinfeld that way.
That's awesome.
And yeah, I can imagine there would be like a ridiculousness to a retelling of a Seinfeld episode.
Yeah, and he's always he's always so good with like remembering all the like every detail. And he did a good Kramer, so it was fun.
My grandma used to do that for me with Wheel of Fortune.
Oh yeah,
she would like recount Wheel of Fortune too,
and they spun the wheel.
And then there was a space and then a P. No, there was a P. Okay. All right, thanks, Fischer. And then finally, the grand finale of the show. Andrew's What We're Into section. What do you got?
That's right. My family and I took our first kind of excursion since we've been down here. A couple weekends ago, we went east to Puerto Viejo, which is on the Caribbean coast. So we drove out there, and that was pretty cool. It's pretty neat to just drive to the Caribbean for the weekend and just be able to do that. The novelty of that alone was pretty awesome. But it's about I want to say 150-mile drive. So like in the States, that'd be a little over 2 hours. Here it was 5. It was long and hot, but interesting. Like I think that's one of the things I really enjoy about being down here is just kind of the novelty of driving, because everything is new and different, and I'm always like, they're just roads and trees and things, stuff, everything you see like along the road, on any road in any country, but all stuff that's new. And that was really cool. The ocean there was beautiful. It was so warm, the water. It was effectively like the air. The only difference was the wetness, which was pretty wild. The one thing though, the waves there were really high, so there's only like really one day where we could swim and not feel like we might be pulled out to sea. Riptides around the area are pretty bad, I guess. So you have to be really careful. But we also went on went for a walk in a national park, and that was pretty cool because it was right along the shore. So the path kind of went alternatively toward the beach and then into the jungle, and that was really neat. A lot of cool little coves that you could start to walk down and then have to run away as the waves came up. And then we saw some sloths, we saw some monkeys. Took some cool reference photos of trees and vines and things. There was one crazy tree that was just like it's like a palm. So it was just this, like one solid trunk with not a whole lot of branches coming out, but it was just completely covered in spikes, like comically so. Like like a lot of the
cactus palm.
Yeah, like the like these big thorns, just like a very unfriendly tree. And some of the reference photos I took were I was telling Evan about it afterwards, where if I would have seen someone like turn in art that had that in it, I'd be like, that's not real.
That's right. Too over the top.
That looks totally fake. So it was pretty interesting to see.
Did you figure out what it's called? Madagascar palm tree?
I don't know. I didn't look it up. I just
think
took it in.
I think it's the Madagascar palm tree.
Is it a tree with a bunch of spikes all the way up?
Yeah. Little 3-pronged spikes?
No, they were just one spike.
Straight out?
Yeah, pretty much straight out. Yeah, it is wild. It looked ridiculous.
Ouch is what I think.
So that was really cool. So we were there for a couple days. I thought here was humid and tropical, but it's nothing compared to there. Like here, there's a lot of like open space and fields, farm fields and stuff, and hills. And there it was pretty much just beach and jungle. And we stayed up this little hill about, I don't know, maybe like 100 meters from the ocean. And again, I thought here is loud at night. There it was insane. It was like the entire, like you were like trying to go to sleep with an entire jungle of chattering animals around you, like right in your ear.
Wow.
Yeah, I did not sleep well while we were there. Just monkeys yelling, you got birds yelling over the place, insects, like every insect. Yeah.
You're gonna end up with tinnitus.
Yeah, right. But it was cool. It was fun to take a little trip and get off of this property for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then like I mentioned earlier, I got a HBO Max subscription because I've been wanting to watch the Lord of the Rings extended editions, and they're part of that catalog. But that also gave me access to the DC Universe movies.
Ooh.
So yeah, I've been plugging away at those a little bit and rewatching some stuff. I watched Watchmen again, which I don't think even got through it the first time. I liked it a lot more this time. I think just because of I feel like in general quality of movies have kind of gone down a little bit. So I think it just makes all the things I was kind of like about better. The kind of way I felt about Rogue One. I was kind of meh on Rogue One until we got so much other Star Wars stuff that when I rewatched Rogue One, I was like, wow, this is actually great. So yeah, I finally watched Man of Steel, which I'd never watched before.
Oh yeah, what did you think of that?
It's okay.
I think that was the general consensus.
Yeah, it's okay, I guess. But I also rewatched Superman the movie. So
oh wow, you got both ends.
I did, yeah. I kind of and I think they both have their pros and cons. I think it would have been better to maybe try to just remake Superman the movie and fix the few weird, dumb things with that movie.
Are you talking about the Christopher Reeves one? Superman the movie?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Then where I think they combined Superman 1 and 2 into Man of Steel. So like General Zod was the villain. But I don't know. There's just so much like CG fight stuff that it's really hard to get into and follow and
all that like all the weightless CG battles kind of stuff.
But I think I love Gene Hackman in it. And
I think
Superman
Henry Cavill's a good Superman though.
Oh yeah, he's great. Yeah, he looks the part. I think he's not as fun as Christopher Reeve though. I think Christopher Reeve's Superman is like Christopher Reeve's Clark Kent is brilliant.
Yeah.
Like he's so goofy. He's so silly. But it's so much fun and he really hams it up. But I didn't realize watching Superman the movie that starts pretty much the same way as Man of Steel, with the conviction of General Zod and his cronies being sentenced to like life imprisonment in the Phantom Zone.
Yeah,
because they do nothing with them. Yeah,
the square flying into space. Right?
Yeah,
is that in the one? Yeah.
Exactly. So they open the movie with that. So like, if you were coming into Superman, like if you were watching Superman the movie for the first time in 1978, you'd probably say to yourself, "Well, those guys, Superman's gonna have to fight those guys in this movie." Nope.
Oh yeah,
it doesn't happen.
That's awesome. Nope. I didn't realize that.
It just doesn't happen. And in my mind, I'd conflated Superman 1 and 2. So like, I had thought that Superman 2 opened with that, which it still might. I don't know. But yeah, Superman 2 is when Superman fights General Zod. I think generally speaking, that's my favorite Superman movie, if I remember. But yeah, it was interesting going down memory lane there. There was some stuff I remembered, some stuff I did not at all. And man, the end of that movie is so dumb. I feel like it was both the movies are pretty dumb. But
is that where he flies around the world?
Yeah, to turn back time.
Yes,
because that's how time works.
Yeah,
but then they don't even.
I mean, that one lives in infamy, right?
Right.
But then somehow, like it doesn't undo other things that he did. So it's like, what did he let that bus full of children fall into like San Francisco Bay to go save Lois? I don't know. Maybe I have no idea. Let's just not answer that question.
That's kind of the problem with Superman, though, is he's kind of boring to me because he's just capable of everything, you know?
Yeah,
and
right.
Well, he's still got weaknesses, right? I mean, he's got kryptonite, and he's got the people he cares about.
Well, and that's that second one is, and like his own mind, right?
Yes.
Is what always. I find him really, really interesting. I do agree, Evan, that he can be boring, but I think he's really interesting from a writing perspective because he like because he is invincible, you have to like figure out how to target him. And I think kryptonite can be kind of lazy, right? But like I think challenges that take advantage of the fact that he is basically he may be physically superhuman, but up here he's still human. Like I think those are the most interesting stories.
Yeah, totally.
Sorry, go on.
No, that was it. So yeah, that was fun. I'd forgotten about Lois Lane's internal dialogue poem
when they're
during
flying.
Superman the movie.
Yeah,
interesting.
Oh my god,
to John Williams.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. It's like they're flying, and she says a poem about flying in the sky and stuff.
With Superman, yeah.
Oh,
And they're
so
flying
bad.
like they're flying and holding hands, right?
Yeah.
Like, is he using magic? Like, is it just to make
They're
her
just going
levitate?
really fast.
Maybe, yeah. One final question. When you're the opening of Superman versus the opening of Star Wars, the theme, which one fills you with more like, what's the word? Excitement.
Star Wars.
The
opening of Superman's really good though. It was really good.
So good.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that too.
but Star Wars just starts like,
Right.
It just comes out of the gate,
Yeah, that's
and it's
true.
got the 20th Century Fox Dremel in front of it.
Yeah.
Which for years I thought was part of the Star Wars theme. And whenever that would come on TV, I'd be like, "Oh, Star Wars is on." They're like, "Nah, it's some bullshit movie."
Growing up, I had my parents had an album of the Boston Pops, John Williams and the Boston Pops, and it had all the Superman songs, Star Wars, and like, I don't know, some of the other ones, Indiana Jones maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
Did he?
yeah.
Yes. It was awesome. I loved it. Oh,
all three of
It's
those.
great.
All three of those. Back to the Future as well. Is that John Williams? Like the Back to the Future kind of theme.
I'm actually not sure.
no, I don't think it is.
Maybe.
It's up there though. It's up there with those ones, I'd say.
Yeah.
Though I can't think of it. I can't hum it right now. Can anybody? What is Back to the Future theme?
Whenever I start to think of John Williams themes, they all blend together in my mind because
They
do
do.
essentially the same.
Alan Silvestri does Back to the Future.
Yeah,
Ah,
that's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's right.
All right, guys. I was just listening to the Back to the Future theme.
Thanks for bearing with us in a slightly longer and ramblier episode than normal.
It was a fun one though.
About the same, I'm sure. Hour 45.
Wow,
So
2
good.
hours? Okay, let's get the hell out of here. It was good talking to you guys. Thanks everybody for listening. Now you can see it's dark out at 4:30. Anyway, and as Andrew sits in the bright sun there.
Yeah.
It's getting dark. Like I
It's
said
getting
here, the time it's always the same. So when the days get longer for you guys, it'll still be getting dark at 5 o'clock for me.
Wow, yeah. All right, guys, we'll see you next time. Reach out and enjoy the game, everybody, if you're playing it.
Yeah, and see you at PAX.
See you at PAX.
Yeah. See everybody at PAX. We're really excited.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you.